The jungle did not stir, it ripped itself awake. Leaves shuddered as a storm of hunger tore through the canopy. A golden dawn painted the trees, yet fear crawled beneath the light. Michael whispered, "Silence hides killers." His words cut into the stillness, trembling with foreboding. Emma stumbled on damp roots, clutching her breath as if it might betray her. Their eyes locked on shadows, weaving between branches, figures too swift to name. Daniel growled, "We are already prey." The jungle breathed hot and wet, sweat mixing with soil's sharp musk. A scream broke from deeper thickets. Raw, brief, final, die. Birds scattered like shattered glass. In that instant, hope snapped, and survival became the only truth. The first strike had come. The jungle hushed as if every leaf held its breath. Emma whispered, "Something watches us." Her voice trembled with a child's fear, and Michael tried to steady her, but his words broke on the silence. Daniel clenched his fists, muttering, "It's already here." The undergrowth whispered back, a rhythm not made by wind. Sunlight fractured on damp vines, painting false safety in gold. A scream echoed again. Closer, sharper, unfinished. Michael's heart pounded like a trapped drum. The ground shook faintly, as if something immense pressed through roots and soil. Every instinct screamed run, yet the forest demanded stillness. The first act of survival was not courage but restraint, and they froze, prey within a stage built for predators. The canopy groaned above as branches cracked. Emma gasped, "It's moving." Michael pulled her close, whispering, "Don't draw attention." Daniel's jaw clenched, fury replacing fear. The predator was not unseen anymore. Its breath carried on humid air, low and guttural. They strained to listen, but every sound merged. Cicadas screeching, birds cawing, water dripping. Suddenly, silence devoured the noise, sharp and violent. Michael whispered, "This is the silence before the kill." His words etched dread into their bones. Emma's eyes watered, not from fear but from the weight of waiting. Daniel shifted forward, shoulders braced for violence. Something unseen prowled only steps away, and the jungle seemed to grin with teeth of its own. A crash shattered the foliage, and Michael leapt to his feet. Emma screamed but muffled it in her palm. Daniel's growl carried rage. "Face it!" The jungle tore open as a massive shadow streaked past, predator speed faster than thought. Michael lunged forward, shoving Emma into cover, whispering, "Stay low." His voice cracked with terror disguised as command. The air reeked of musk and blood, and claw marks fresh as fire scarred nearby bark. The predator didn't linger. It circled, testing, tasting fear. Emma whispered, "It's playing with us." Daniel bared his teeth in grim defiance. The jungle was not their home, but their cage, and the shadow was its keeper. The predator vanished, leaving silence so heavy it crushed breath. Michael whispered, "It's testing us." His words were swallowed by the dripping canopy. Emma's tears streaked her dirt-stained cheeks as she shook her head, whispering, "We won't survive." Daniel snarled, "We survive or we feed it." His defiance was a match against the void, sparks against the storm. The jungle itself leaned closer, listening, waiting. Their muscles trembled, not from exhaustion, but from anticipation of the strike. No comfort, no pause. Only the knowledge that death had already marked them. And yet, deep within, Michael felt it. Survival demanded not strength, but will. The act had begun, and the jungle never showed mercy. Morning light crept through the canopy, weak and fractured, unable to pierce the weight of dread. Michael steadied his breath, whispering, "We need to move, but together." His voice carried the fragile command of someone already broken. Emma's gaze clung to him, fear softening into trust, though her lips quivered with unspoken despair. Daniel scanned the jungle, fists clenched, every muscle resisting the urge to fight what could not yet be seen. The silence felt heavier than the predator's roar, pressing on their skin like invisible claws. Emma said, "We can't stop," but her trembling voice betrayed the truth. Every step forward was survival measured in heartbeats. Michael pressed his hand against her shoulder, dirt streaking her jacket, and whispered, "Stay behind me." In that moment, fragility became strength, the bond between them their only anchor against a world that demanded sacrifice. The jungle did not care, but together, they could choose to. The path narrowed, roots weaving like traps, forcing them close. Michael whispered, "Stay quiet, let the jungle hide us." His words were low, almost prayer-like. Emma's steps faltered, breath short, her eyes darting at every flicker of movement. She muttered, "I can't keep pace," though her legs carried her still. Daniel pushed forward, growling, "Then lean on us." His voice cracked with an anger born of fear, yet it carried a raw promise of protection. The jungle shifted, colors too bright, greens bleeding into gold as sunlight burned through mist. For a moment, the forest looked almost alive, breathing with them, against them. Michael's hand brushed Emma's, unspoken reassurance in the touch. Every gesture between them carved a fragile bond, a heartbeat stronger than the predator's silence. It was not the jungle that protected them, but the way they clung to one another's humanity amid the leaves. The sound of dripping water mocked time, slow and steady. Emma's voice cracked, "Why us?" Her question drifted into the canopy like smoke. Michael swallowed hard, his eyes hollow yet steady. He answered, "Because we're here, and it doesn't matter why." His words cut with brutal honesty, but his hand tightened on hers as if refusing to let despair steal her. Daniel halted suddenly, crouching low, finger pressed to the ground. "Tracks," he growled, his voice rough, almost reverent. The soil bore prints too large to mistake. Emma's chest tightened, her innocence mirrored in wide eyes, the weight of realization crashing down. Michael whispered, "Stay close." The jungle groaned as if amused by their fear. Yet in that shared moment, the three became more than prey. They were a fragile circle of defiance, against the shadow pressing closer. Survival was no longer solitary. It was bound in their unity. The canopy parted, sunlight scattering across a hidden pool. The water shimmered with false peace, its surface broken only by drifting leaves. Emma gasped, "It's beautiful," awe mingling with fear. Michael's hand lingered at her shoulder, whispering, "Beauty doesn't mean safe." His eyes scanned the surface, searching for ripples of danger. Daniel crouched at the edge, splashing water across his scarred face, growling. "We don't have choices. We drink or we die." Emma knelt beside him, hesitant, reflection trembling in the water. She whispered, "What if it's waiting?" The silence that followed was louder than the pool's trickle. Michael closed his eyes, whispering, "Then we drink fast and move faster." In their thirst, fragility was laid bare, their humanity reflected in water, as uncertain as their fate. The pool was no gift, it was a gamble, a pause in a war where even silence hunted them. The forest closed in tighter, vines hanging like nooses, shadows sharpening with every step. Emma whispered, "I can't do this." Her words shook, trembling with exhaustion. Michael turned, eyes steady, voice low yet fierce. "You can. You're stronger than this jungle." His conviction rang hollow, yet it was all they had. Daniel's jaw tightened as he said, "We don't stop, not now." His presence was fire and stone, unyielding. Emma's lips parted, tears mixing with sweat. But she nodded, gripping Michael's hand harder. The jungle whispered with mocking laughter, its shadows crawling closer. Still, in the press of their steps, a fragile promise took root. That weakness could become endurance if held together. Every moment of hesitation risked death, but every heartbeat of unity defied it. They would prey, yes, but prey that would not fall without leaving their mark on the leaves that buried them. The jungle no longer whispered, it roared in silence. Michael's ears caught every snap of twig, every distant growl. He muttered, "It's closing in." His words were not warning, but confession. Emma's breath came fast, shoulders trembling, eyes locked on shadows shifting beyond the trees. She whispered, "I feel it watching me." Daniel's fist gripped a broken branch, knuckles white, as he growled, "Then let it know we watch back." The canopy trembled, leaves falling like dying stars, and for a heartbeat, the world held still. Then came the sound, deep, guttural, close. Michael pressed Emma behind him, chest heaving with fear. "Stay low," he commanded, voice raw. The predator was no longer a shadow but a presence that filled the air, pressing them flat with its intent. The jungle had turned against them, its heartbeat pounding with the rhythm of their dread. The ground shook with sudden violence, soil splitting, roots tearing as if the jungle itself wanted them buried. Emma stumbled, crying out, "It's beneath us!" Michael caught her arm, hauling her upright, voice frantic. "Move!" Daniel sprinted ahead, rage burning in his chest, growling, "We'll face it on ground it doesn't own." The forest erupted in sound, branches snapping, birds shrieking, animals fleeing as if the predator had torn open the world itself. Emma's chest burned, breath ragged, but she clung to Michael's arm, forcing herself forward. Michael's voice shook but pressed on. "We survive one step at a time." Behind them, a low roar cut through the chaos, vibrating bone and soul alike. The chase had begun, and the forest itself ran with them, every path a trap, every step the edge of a fall into death. They burst into a clearing, lungs burning, only to find silence sharper than any roar. Emma gasped. Where did it go? Her voice cracked, heavy with dread. Michael scanned the tree line, sweat dripping into his eyes, whispering, "It's still here." Daniel crouched low, gripping the branch tighter, whispering through clenched teeth, "It waits for weakness." The air pressed down, suffocating, every shadow thick with promise of violence. Michael's hand shook as he brushed Emma's arm, forcing calm into his touch. She whispered, "I can't be strong forever," tears streaking dirt from her face. Michael's voice hardened, "Then lean on me." That's strength too. Their bond carved a fragile wall against the silence, but Daniel's eyes narrowed, scanning the brush. He muttered, "It wants us to think we're safe." His words turned the air colder, for nothing in the jungle was ever safe. A scream shattered the canopy, raw and inhuman, followed by the crunch of bone. Emma's knees buckled, whispering, "It's feeding." Michael's stomach turned, but his voice sharpened, "We keep moving or we're next." Daniel snarled, "Let it choke on its prey. We're not waiting." The forest floor was slick with blood trails, marking where another creature had fallen. Flies buzzed in chaotic circles, their sound a grotesque chorus. Emma gagged, pressing her palm to her mouth, tears welling. Michael steadied her, whispering, "Look at me, not at this." His words tried to shield her, though his own eyes burned with horror. Daniel's gaze stayed locked on the trees, rage boiling. He muttered, "It's never enough for them. It won't stop." The jungle grew colder, shadows stretching longer, as if even the sun recoiled from the carnage. Night crept before the sun had fallen, shadows thickening as though summoned by fear. Emma whispered, "It doesn't rest, does it?" Her voice broke like glass. Michael shook his head, whispering, "No, neither can we." His words carried the weight of exhaustion and defiance. Daniel struck the ground with his branch, sparks of fury lighting his eyes. He growled, "Then let it come." The jungle roared back with silence, the kind that devoured sound. Every rustle, every snap was louder in the absence of certainty. Michael pressed Emma close, whispering, "I'll keep you alive." Her sob caught in her throat, fragile yet fierce. Daniel scanned the darkening canopy, muttering, "This is only the beginning." The night did not promise safety, it promised war. And as the last light faded, they felt it. Survival would demand more than strength. It would demand their very souls. The forest groaned as though it carried secrets too heavy to bear. Michael froze, eyes widening at claw marks not carved by one predator, but many, overlapping, layered in chaos. He whispered, "It's not alone." Emma clutched his sleeve, her voice breaking. "There are more?" The air thickened, every breath a burden, every sound an omen. Daniel's eyes narrowed, rage cutting through fear as he growled, "They're a pack." The revelation shattered the fragile hope that survival meant outrunning a single hunter. Emma trembled, her body recoiling at the thought of shadows multiplying in the mist. Michael whispered, "We've been led here." His voice cracked with realization. The jungle was not just their enemy. It was a labyrinth, a snare designed to funnel prey. The predators were not stalking randomly. They were herding, patient, and precise. The truth was worse than death. They were prey in a game. A guttural cry echoed, not from the shadows, but above. Emma gasped, staring upward as branches trembled. "They're in the trees," she whispered, terror hollowing her voice. Michael's breath hitched, his mind racing. He muttered, "It's not just ground we fear." Daniel spun, branch raised, eyes scanning canopy. Predators leapt between branches, their forms blurred in speed, their eyes glowing faintly. For the first time, Emma saw the truth. They were not mindless beasts, but hunters with strategy. Michael's heart sank. "We're not fighting animals. We're fighting intelligence." His words silenced even the jungle's noise. Emma's tears welled, but she clenched her fists, whispering, "Then we don't think like prey." Daniel's face twisted with grim approval, though his hands trembled. The twist unraveled their last illusion. Survival was not just a test of strength, but a war against cunning minds cloaked in fur and shadow. The jungle revealed its betrayal. Vines that seemed natural twisted into barriers, forcing them into narrow paths. Michael whispered, "It's driving us somewhere." His voice cracked as realization settled like stone. Emma's voice shook, "We're not escaping. We're being guided." Daniel's jaw clenched, fury boiling. He shouted, "Then we break its path." His rage echoed, startling birds into frantic flight. Yet the vines ahead were too thick, the way behind already sealed by shadows. Emma sobbed softly, pressing her forehead into her hands. Michael lifted her chin, whispering, "We fight by choosing where we stand." His eyes burned with resolve, though fear still lingered. Daniel growled, "If it wants us cornered, let's make the corner bleed." Their truth was undeniable. The jungle was not neutral, not judge nor bystander. It was ally to the predators, weaving death in silence. Tape had never been the game. A rustle at the edge of vision revealed more than teeth. Emma gasped as a predator stepped into light, its form scarred, ribs visible beneath thin fur. Its eyes burned not with mindless hunger, but pain. Michael whispered, "It's starving." The truth sliced deeper than claws. The killers were desperate, driven by famine. Daniel's rage faltered as he muttered, "It hunts because it has no choice." Emma's heart trembled, sympathy and fear warring within her. "It suffers too," she whispered, her voice soft. The jungle was no longer a battleground of villains and victims. It was survival mirrored in every shadow. Michael's breath broke as he whispered, "We're not different, just prey in different forms." The twist shattered the story they clung to. The predators were not monsters. They were mirrors, reflections of their own desperation carved into claw and fang. Silence thickened as predator and prey locked eyes across the clearing. Emma whispered, "It's us or them." Her words cut like a blade of grief. Michael's breath trembled, voice hollow. "It doesn't want to kill. It has to." Daniel's fists shook, branch raised, fury collapsing into despair. The truth weighed on them heavier than the jungle itself. They were not hunted by cruelty, but by necessity. Emma whispered, "We are all dying here." Her tears fell, glinting in fading light. Michael's jaw tightened, whispering, "Then we fight to outlast hunger itself." The revelation was not salvation, but curse. There was no villain, no mercy, only survival's law written in blood and silence. The jungle did not punish, it revealed. And in that revelation, their fear deepened, for they were no longer running from monsters. They were running from themselves, shadows mirrored in the predator's starving eyes. Night swallowed the jungle whole, its darkness alive with sound. Michael's heart pounded like a war drum, every beat a reminder of the shadows stalking them. Emma whispered, "I hear it breathing." Her voice cracked like glass, fragile yet piercing. Daniel gritted his teeth, raising his branch as he muttered. Then we breathed louder. The silence broke. A roar split the trees, shaking the earth. Michael shoved Emma behind him, shouting, "Run!" The predator leapt from the canopy, claws slashing air, eyes glowing with starvation's fury. Emma stumbled, but found her footing, tears streaking her face, whispering, "Don't leave me." Michael's grip on her tightened, even as the beast's shadow fell across them. Daniel lunged forward, rage turned to fire, screaming, "Over me first." In that moment, every fear collapsed into violence, every breath into survival's scream. The climax had arrived, raw, unrelenting, merciless. The predator crashed into Daniel, branch splintering under its weight. Emma screamed, her cry piercing the dark. Michael charged, fists striking desperately at fur and bone, whispering hoarsely, "Not him, not now." Daniel roared, shoving the beast back with sheer will, even as its claws raked his arm. Blood sprayed, dark against moonlight. Emma fell to her knees, reaching out, whispering, "Please, don't die." Daniel's face twisted, fury drowning pain, his scar shining like fire. He spat through clenched teeth, "I'm not prey." The predator reeled, but another roar echoed from the trees. Michael's eyes widened. They were not fighting one but many. He whispered in terror, "It's the pack." The ground quivered with their steps, the air thick with their hunger. The fight was no longer survival against one predator, it was war against a swarm, a storm of hunger with no mercy. The jungle exploded with chaos. Predators burst from shadows, their snarls a symphony of hunger. Michael screamed, "Run, Emma!" His voice cracked, a plea and a command. Emma stumbled, heart hammering, tears blinding her vision, but her legs carried her through roots and vines. Daniel roared, striking wildly, his blood staining the ground as he stood his ground. Michael tore through leaves, chasing Emma, his mind torn between saving her and fighting back. The night became a blur of claws and cries, every moment stolen from death. Emma tripped, slamming into the mud, whispering, "Please, not like this." Michael fell beside her, wrapping her in his arms, shouting, "Over me" before her. His voice broke with love and despair. The predators circled, eyes glinting like fireflies of death. The climax swelled, death pressed from all sides, survival shrinking into a single fragile breath. Daniel charged into the circle, screaming, "Take me then!" His voice cracked, a sacrifice forged in fury. He swung the broken branch like fire, striking one predator, then another, his blood marking every blow. Michael screamed, "Daniel, no!" His voice split with grief. Emma's sobs drowned in the chaos, whispering, "Don't leave us." Daniel's body became a storm, every strike defiance, every wound a price. The predators swarmed, dragging him down, claws ripping flesh, his roar echoing louder than the jungle itself. Michael's tears blurred his vision as he pulled Emma away, whispering, "We can't waste him." Her voice shattered, "He's saving us," as her nails dug into Michael's arm. The clearing glowed with violence, blood-soaking roots, shadows feasting on sacrifice. Daniel's roar turned to silence, his final act not defeat, but gift. The climax demanded blood, and Daniel gave his. The jungle shook with silence after Daniel's fall, his sacrifice echoing in the predator's guttural cries. Michael dragged Emma through thickets, his breath ragged, his chest tearing with grief. She sobbed, whispering, "We left him." Michael's voice broke. He gave us time. Tears cut lines through his dirt-stained face. The predators still pursued, but slower, bloodied by their feast. Emma stumbled, clinging to Michael's arm, whispering, "We can't outrun forever." Michael's eyes burned, voice raw. "Then we fight until nothing's left." The jungle closed tighter, vines tearing skin, shadows devouring light. The climax pressed its weight, no victory promised, only the will to keep moving. Daniel's roar lingered in their minds, a ghost urging them forward. Michael whispered, "We survive because he chose us." Emma's tears fell like rain, her voice breaking. "Then we must make it mean something." The jungle grew silent again, but the silence was no gift. Michael staggered, dragging Emma through the undergrowth, his breath rasping like broken glass. He whispered, "Daniel's gone," the words cutting deeper than claws. Emma sobbed, shaking her head, whispering, "No, he can't be." Yet the air still trembled with the echo of his roar. The predators lingered behind them, shadows fading into mist, not defeated, but sated. Michael stopped, his body trembling, eyes hollow. "We have to keep moving," he said, voice raw. Emma gripped his arm, her tears glistening. "Why do we deserve to live if he doesn't?" she whispered, her voice cracking with grief. Michael closed his eyes, whispering, "Because he chose us." The jungle pressed heavy, vines like chains, but their steps became tribute. Survival was not victory. It was the burden of the living carrying the weight of the fallen. The moon carved silver lines across the canopy, painting the jungle with a ghost's hand. Emma whispered, "I can't feel my legs." Her body slumped, trembling. Michael caught her, pressing her against a moss-covered trunk, whispering, "Rest a moment." His voice cracked, both command and plea. The forest around them dripped with quiet, water falling in slow rhythm, echoing Daniel's absence. Emma's lips trembled as she whispered, "He fought for nothing if we die here." Michael's jaw tightened, his eyes burning with determination. "Then we don't," he answered, though fear twisted every syllable. The jungle creaked, branches groaning as unseen creatures stirred. Emma clung to his shirt, eyes wide with desperation. "Promise me we'll make it," she whispered. Michael held her face, dirt and tears mingling on his hands, whispering, "I promise." Yet even promises felt fragile against the weight of a world that demanded blood. Dawn crept slowly, painting the jungle in pale light. The predators had not returned, yet their absence was not safety, it was reprieve. Emma stirred, whispering, "The light feels wrong." Her voice was thin, like thread unraveling. Michael steadied her, whispering, "It means we lived through the night." But his eyes betrayed the hollow truth. Survival was only another day borrowed. The air was cold, damp, filled with the smell of blood-soaked soil. Michael's hands trembled as he tore vines aside, clearing a path. Emma's body leaned on him, her strength nearly gone. "I'm slowing you down," she whispered, shame breaking her words. Michael's voice cracked. "You're the reason I'm still moving." The jungle seemed almost still, yet every rustle carried threat. Survival had lost its glory. It was no triumph, no conquest, only an endless negotiation with death. The river emerged from the trees like a wound of silver, rushing, violent. Michael's heart pounded. "This is it," he whispered. Emma's lips trembled. "If we cross, we might drown." Michael stared at the churning waters, his jaw set. "If we don't, we die here." The predators' cries echoed faintly from behind, closer now, hunger rekindled. Emma's body shook, terror and exhaustion binding her. Michael gripped her arms, whispering, "Trust me." Her tears fell as she whispered, "I have nothing else." The roar of water drowned their voices as Michael pulled her toward the edge. He whispered on 3, but his voice broke before he finished. The river was no salvation. It was another predator, faceless, relentless. Yet, survival demanded the gamble. And so, with the jungle pressing from behind, they stepped toward the violent current, hearts racing against both water and fate. The river consumed them, dragging bodies into its roar. Michael held Emma against the current, his muscles screaming, voice raw, "Hold on!" Emma's cries broke into gasps as water swallowed her face. "I can't!" she screamed. Michael's arm tightened, his eyes burning with desperation. "Yes, you can." His voice was fire against the flood. The current tore at them, dragging them under, slamming them against rocks. Michael's breath broke, water choking him, but he would not release her. Emma's hand clawed for air, finding his shirt, her grip unyielding. "Don't let go," she whispered, voice drowned in the torrent. His eyes locked on hers, fierce, desperate. "Never," he gasped. The river raged, but they clung, battered and bleeding, souls stretched thin. The storm had broken, yet survival was not triumph. It was agony endured. The jungle did not spare them. It tested how much they could lose. The river spat them onto the bank like broken shells. Michael gasped, dragging Emma onto the mud, lungs burning as if fire lived inside them. Emma coughed water, trembling, whispering, "We're still alive." Her words carried disbelief more than relief. Michael collapsed beside her, face buried in dirt, whispering, "Alive, but not safe." The jungle loomed around them, shadows thick despite dawn's glow. The predators had not followed across the river, but their eyes still haunted memory. Emma clutched Michael's arm, tears streaking her pale face. "Daniel should have been here," she whispered, grief twisting her voice. Michael shut his eyes, voice cracking. "He is here, in us." Silence settled like a shroud, heavy and eternal. Survival no longer felt like triumph. It felt like mourning stretched into breath. The jungle did not chase them now, but it owned them still, its echo carved into every heartbeat. Emma stirred weakly, eyes hollow, whispering, "I don't know if I can keep going." Michael forced himself upright, body shaking, voice raw. "You can, because you must." His words carried no promise, only necessity. Emma leaned into him, her face pressed against his torn shirt. "Everything hurts," she whispered, tears hidden in fabric. Michael's eyes burned as he stared at the jungle beyond the river. "Pain means we're not gone yet," he muttered. Their bond was no longer fragile, it was survival itself, stitched together by loss and blood. Yet the silence gnawed at them, reminding them the jungle was not finished. Emma whispered, "What if it waits for us again?" Michael's jaw clenched, his voice hoarse. "Then it waits. We walk anyway." The echo of their fear filled the space between trees, fragile voices daring to live where nature demanded silence. The day stretched long, the sun weak, veiled in haze. Michael stumbled forward, Emma leaning against him, her legs trembling with every step. She whispered, "Every sound feels like death." Michael squeezed her hand, whispering, "That's because it could be." His honesty cut sharper than comfort, yet steadied her. Birds circled above, their cries hollow, as if mocking fragile humans below. Emma's lips parted, voice shaking. "If we make it out, who will remember him?" Michael's voice broke, whispering, "We will." "That's enough." The jungle floor softened into mud, prints of predators still etched deep. Emma's eyes widened, whispering, "It never ends." Michael's hand tightened, pulling her close, his voice firm though broken. "Then we don't end either." Their words carried not hope, but defiance. The jungle echoed with it, a whisper louder than any roar, survival as rebellion against inevitability. As the sun dipped, the jungle fell into crimson twilight. Michael stopped, chest heaving, staring at the horizon through twisted branches. Emma leaned into him, her voice breaking. "Do you think we'll ever escape this?" Michael's lips trembled, whispering, "Escape isn't survival. Living another breath is." His words hung heavy, honest as blood. Emma's tears streaked her dirt-stained cheeks, whispering, "Then we live for him." Michael's gaze hardened, eyes glinting with fire against exhaustion. "Yes," he whispered. The jungle groaned, branches creaking as shadows stretched long, predator eyes faintly glimmering in distance, watching, waiting. Emma shivered but whispered, "I'm not afraid anymore." Michael's arm tightened around her, his voice low, steady. "Fear keeps us alive. Remember that." The jungle did not yield, but it listened, its silence broken by fragile voices daring to defy it. Night claimed the jungle once more, and silence fell like a blade. Michael and Emma stood at the forest's edge, their bodies broken but unbowed. Emma whispered, "It will never stop hunting, will it?" Michael's voice was soft, almost tender. "No, and neither will we." The jungle exhaled, a low breath through leaves, as if acknowledging the truth. Emma lifted her head, eyes burning despite exhaustion. whispering, "Then let it watch us live." Her words cut into the night, fragile but fierce. Michael squeezed her hand, whispering, "That's the only way we win." The final echo lingered, not in victory, not in peace, but in defiance etched eternal. The jungle's killers remained hidden, eyes gleaming in the dark. Yet the last image was not theirs. It was of two survivors standing, breathing, daring the wild to break them. Survival's echo had spoken,